Hi guys, welcome to the Human and Machine channel. Today we have an amazing interview with the guys of
Dexalot. So these guys are building really innovative trading DeFi products, and you don't want to miss out on what they're about to share.
Stay tuned. Okay guys, so here we are with the team of Dexalot. I can only tell you that we haven't even started this interview and we already have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
So, Machine, introduce the team.
Yeah, so hey guys, we have the team from Dexalot here. Of course, I have a lot more, but we're really excited to have, a few of the key leaders here.
Yeah.
So why don't we just jump and start with the introductions?
Yep.
Nihat, why don't you start?
Great, thanks very much. Glad to be here. So my name is Nihat Gürman. I'm one of the co-founders of Dexalot. And I'm coming from a technical background. I'm a chemical engineer by training. I have a PhD in that field, and I stayed through the postdoc in the academia, but then switched to industry. So I stayed in oil and gas industry for most of my career. And about 2-3 years ago, I was into finding some other things actually to do and landed on blockchain. Around the same time, I reached out to my longtime friend, Cengiz, and we started getting into it more seriously in the Avalanche ecosystem. Cengiz, why don't you?
So thank you, Nihat. So yeah, I thank him for calling me almost 15 months ago. Sometimes I hate him for calling me because it's been so long hours, so many days. So it's like, and it's never ending, but it's great. It's great. I mean, it's very fulfilling. I worked in Wall Street for over 20 years building trading systems. And around 2018, I said, you know what, there is not much upside for me in this world anymore. And I left New York City, cold turkey. I said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I moved to Florida. I started kite surfing. I mean, I was kite surfing already, but kite surfing, going hydrofoil racing, and doing small technical projects and so forth. And back in my Wall Street times, I built almost like 5 trading systems. I also worked in JP Morgan statistical arbitrage trading desk. I had my own book, my algorithms, high frequency trading systems, and things like that. Like, I left it all behind, and Nihat called me. I'm like, dude, I left this. Like, why are you pulling me back? So, well, fun and games, but yeah, I thank him for that, and here we are.
Can I add one thing from my side? So essentially, he's my 30 plus year friend from the university. We have a pretty good history, and he was having so much fun in Florida when I
You
was
were
working
jealous.
in the oil and gas industry, right? So I'm like, this is not fair. Somehow I need to somehow I need to pull back him into misery. So that's how it happened.
He feels the
actually.
same with me.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, misery likes company, right? So
Thank you, Nihat.
Cool.
You're a gem.
And by the way, just for our audience, Cengiz is the CTO and also co-founder of.
Yeah, I forgot to
Dexalot.
mention that.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
no, thanks for the introductions. Very interesting, and I think there's nothing as awesome as working with people you trust and you love and you have fun with, and that's clearly the case here. So, Tim Sean, COO.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself.
That's right.
How are you?
How are you guys? So yes, I'm the COO of Dexalot. In that role, I'm basically responsible for the business side of Dexalot. So exciting stuff like legal and compliance and accounting and stuff like that. But prior to joining the team, I spent 25 years on Wall Street, 15 of those with hedge funds, working for credit funds and macro funds. I was last COO of a global macro fund, where I spent a lot of time on front-end trading systems, portfolio management systems. I was the risk officer. I was responsible for compliance. And similar story, that fund unfortunately closed about 2 years ago. I was sort of quote unquote on the beach, playing a lot of tennis and working out, and then Firestorm unfortunately dragged me out and back into it's parallel story to a certain extent, and Firestorm actually used to be my doubles partner in tennis. So, so glad to be here.
Wow, that's amazing. Beautiful. Firestorm, tell us about your side.
Yes, absolutely. This has been a wild ride. As Tim said, we don't quite have the 30 years sort of friendship, but we're going on 10 years or so now. But
Yeah.
a little bit about myself. I'm a ex-Wall Street operator with about a decade worth of experience from Wall Street. My expertise was in automated equities and FX trading. Most recently, I was head of FX algorithmic trading at a tier 1 bank. And I'm now, part of this team as an advisor, working with Tim and the rest of the guys, of course, on strategy, product, etc. But the care and love and passion about decentralized exchanges for me goes quite deep. I actually was part of a decentralized exchange project on Ethereum back in 2018. I pitched a decentralized exchange concept to a bank that I actually worked at, and none of those really worked well. The first one due to Ethereum being Ethereum, the second one being the bank being a bank. And back so it was July, August timeframe, Dexalot went live in the testnet. And naturally, a decentralized exchange going live on my absolute favorite, and as far as I can tell, most efficient blockchain, immediately caught my eye. I probably was one of the first people that logged onto the platform, tested it out. And I wrote very long emails to, at the time I didn't know, of course, to the Dexalot team, but those emails basically came across Nihat and Cengiz. They wrote me very long emails back responding, saying, thank you, yes, no, etc. And that was sort of the start of our relationship. And then, of course, I got deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. And I'm here now. I've been part of the Avalanche ecosystem for a while, and I'm honestly honored to be part of this team, and looking forward to continuing working with them and building this amazing product.
Nice. Okay. So back to the question: why DeFi?
For me, a little bit, all this like philosophy and everything. And I thought about this lately, and I lived through this 2008, 2009, and I was in JP Morgan at the trading desk. And Bear Stearns, went bankrupt. JP Morgan is buying it. It's two building next to JP Morgan building. It's like 383 Madison. Oh yeah, and all these things happening, and the backlash afterwards. And all the Bitcoin thing came after. So it made a mark on me. This blockchain and owning your own data, owning your own money, owning your own trade, right? Dexalot, own your trade. That actually, it was like really revolutionary and kind of what people wanted after that crash, right? So it was like really a remedy to an outcry that we all had maybe, but we didn't know.
For me, it was very obvious, and it was about the practicality. And I'll give you a couple concrete examples for the audience to sort of think about as well. Cengiz worked at JP Morgan, right? JP Morgan, as well as all the other banks, they build or purchase data centers to operate their infrastructure, their software, etc. When you think about the blockchains, now builders can literally write their software and deploy it on a blockchain like Ethereum or Avalanche. So blockchains in the end up democratizing access to builders, right? You no longer need to be JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and you have all these miners, validators who operate the so-called world computer for you to build applications on. When you combine that with revolutionary consensus like the Avalanche consensus, where it also gives you the ability to do transactions, for example, sending money from yourself to your parents in under 1 second, I just saw a massive disruption coming, and that's why I sort of have been in this space since 2016, 2017. That's why.
Well, Machine, I'm glad to see that all these super smart people
Yeah.
just see it so clearly. You know, like the
Just
average.
laser eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the average person is still like questioning blockchain and DeFi. Well, they don't even know DeFi, right? But they're like, this is a Ponzi scheme. This is da 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 da. Well, people who are in the know and have the knowledge and vision and capacity is like jumping straight in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? Then why don't we use Dexel as an example of why you guys are doing that, the problem. So in the most simplest way possible, right? Please tell us about what Dexalot is and why should we care?
Yeah, I can quickly jump in for that because exchanges both in TradFi and nowadays DeFi are kind of my passion, let's say. It's very simple. Again, it comes down to value for the end user. Dexalot is a non-custodial and transparent on-chain, as in all the orders and the matching, etc., happening on the blockchain itself style exchange. I'm sure our audience heard this before as well. Not your keys, not your money, right? The existing infrastructure through the centralized exchanges basically mean those entities, whoever they are, end up taking custody of your assets. And Dexalot is actually not doing this. Your assets stay on the blockchain. And it also gives you the uncompromising user experience that the centralized exchanges are offering. Our goal is to, again, democratize access for people to access trading and cryptos, etc., without taking away transparency and without taking assets from people into our own sort of wall.
So one thing to add probably to Firestorm's
Yeah.
angle is the capital efficiency of the central exchanges, right? So in the end, when you have a critical mass reached in a properly functioning order book, the meeting of the minds, as Günserer put it in his recent discussion, makes it very efficient for the buyers and sellers find the right medium and exchange the assets, right? So that's currently missing from the traditional DEX experience, actually. So we would like to bring that one without losing anything from the usability or user experience perspective for central exchange.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to add the regulatory angle, right? What do regulators care about the most? They care about rooting out bad actors, and they care about transparency, right? When you talk about transparency, when you talk about on-chain orders, everything is already there for the regulators to look for. Normally, how it works in TradFi is regulators will send inquiries to banks, inquiries to exchanges, and say, what happened here after they look at the tape.
Yeah.
Now they have direct access to seeing everything themselves.
I think our biggest weapon on that one is we made the right choice from the beginning, selecting Avalanche to build on, quite frankly. Right? So that's a very important factor. You need to kind of marry the vision with the right technology, with the right tools. I think that's we believed in it at the beginning, and every day we think we are even more right to have done so. Right. So there are a couple of key differentiators for Avalanche. One is obviously the fast finality, like sub-second finality. If you have a dynamic order book that's responding to many orders on the buy and sell side coming in every second, you need a blockchain that can keep up with that kind of dynamic behavior. And having said that, it needs to have also the right scalability vision, right? Because currently, say, we will be doing a couple of hundred transactions per second, maybe serving thousands to 10,000s of people. But the goal of this technology, if that disruption we are talking about is going to happen, is to serve millions, billions of people, right? You need the right scalable solutions, scalable technologies to build your system on. And I think Avalanche, of all the available blockchains, have the right vision and technology to deliver that. So that's my take on that one. I don't know, Cengiz, if you would like to add on.
Your question also was about blockchain is a little more expensive compared to central exchanges. So you may already ask these questions, but obviously we're going to solve that expensive and the speed. There's two problems with the subnets. I don't know if you want to get into that subnet or that technical, or I don't know, but the subnet is going to give us the cost efficiency as well as the speed improvements that we are looking for. So we currently, the product that we have in the mainnet is a great proof of concept and it's working well. But obviously we cannot put hundreds of pairs, hundreds of markets in our application because we're gonna probably flood the system completely. So like Nihat said, if we want to get there, subnet is going to be our answer.
Actually, we would like you to go a bit deeper on the subnet issue. I think it's important to understand it.
Yeah, for example, like how much faster than your current system, how much cheaper. These are things that I care about for sure.
Sure, of course. Yeah, very well, very important questions. Now, there are different things that we can implement in the subnet. We can take the current Avalanche EVM, the Ethereum EVM, and put in our subnet as is, no changes whatsoever, okay? But it's going to be within our own network in a way. So the speed improvements, we are estimating to be about in tenfold in that case, maybe even more, but let's be a little bit in the conservative side.
Okay.
And the the cost improvement is actually is going to come with, because in this subnet we're going to have as the gas token, we're going to have our own token. So AVAX is not going to be the gas token anymore, and our token is going to be relatively cheaper, and we have the luxury to set our gas price ourselves. Now, the next step is what we call native precompiles. So we can take an operation, let's say entering an order. That operation we can say with native precompiles, we can say it's only going to cost this much gas, 100 gwei, for example, just making that number up. Always 100 gwei. It doesn't matter how many partials it's going to have. It doesn't matter if the system is busy or not. It's always going to be 100.
Okay.
This also gives some transparency to market makers. When they look at it, okay, they know what they're getting into, and they're not really variable. But anything else that they're performing in the blockchain, of course, there's going to be a flexible gas, right? Variable gas.
Would you mind just wrapping up, like one by one, and just leave your best message to the community, please?
So my biggest message, first of all, thanks a lot to you guys. I mean, it was really a great discussion and a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
And my biggest message is to our community, really. In the end, we would like to get their engagement, their guidance, and they've been fantastic so far. We want even more. That's all I can say. The more they engage us, the more we will get what they want with a passion.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And what I would like to say is true decentralization is not just about riding decentralized systems.
Agreed.
It should also be a decentralization of responsibilities. So this, I mentioned that I lived through 2008, 2009, and there was a jargon that too big to fail back then. If you,
yeah, sure, of
you
course.
remember.
Of course. Yeah,
So-
I
sure.
vividly remember.
Definitely.
Too big to fail, too big to
Banks
fail.
never fail, of course.
Yeah. So basically, we also believe that we are partnering with a bunch of well-known DeFi applications and projects. And because everybody has their own responsibility, they know they're very good at what they're doing, and we know what we're doing as well. We're very good at it, and we want to continue on building these partnerships instead of taking over different projects and trying to do all ourselves. We want to stay proficient in what we're doing best. So this way, the responsibilities are becoming decentralized, and we become a lot more stronger as a unit and ecosystem instead of one big project trying to do everything, growing and growing and growing. So that's also one of our true beliefs and what we're trying to strive for. And we have great partners that we have lined up, and we will continue to so any projects that they think that they would like to do business with us, we're open to hear them.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Gengis. Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we sort of talked quite a bit about, speed, and we talked about our backgrounds on Wall Street and all that stuff. And I think the one thing that we don't want to do is make the viewers think that we're only building it for sophisticated traders, right? Even though our backgrounds come from Wall Street, at the end of the day, we're a very community-focused project, right? And our goal is to really make this exchange for everyone, right? That's why we keep talking about the transparency. We want to educate folks on how to use it, and bottom line, we just want to make it as usable for everyone, and not just the pros to use. I mean, everyone from the professional high frequency traders down to my grandmother, right? So it's for everyone.
I have one final question. Why did you guys choose, out of the thousands of creatures out there, the axolotl as your logo?
Yeah, we were looking for a cool character for our project, and we were looking for different possible animals, and we came across with axolotl. It's essentially very resilient, very resourceful animal, and it's pretty unique actually. So it's, I don't know if you see the pictures, the gills are outside of the head, always looking with a big smile, and then arm or something is cut off, it completely regrows, and depending on either food shortage or environmental stress, this entire aquatic animal all of a sudden flips and becomes a land animal, salamander, right? So this is very resourceful, we thought. So this is something we wanted to be associating with. And then the discussion, like the axolotl name has a lot of A's, X with AWACS, Avalanche, DEX. All of that word game ended up giving Dexalot, essentially. That's the story behind the name and the animal.
Awesome. I like it.
Beautiful.
Now I love it. I relate now.
Yeah.
Wonderful, guys. So thank you very much for being with us today. I really appreciate your experience, wisdom, understanding, clarity. Pretty impressive.
Thank you so much.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Time.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
Keep building, guys. Bye.
Wow. Hey, bro. Amazing interview.
Yeah, for sure. I know this is kind of random, but if I can choose to be reborn into an animal, axolotl is not a bad choice.
In Spanish, we call it ajolote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this is ajolotl. That would be the right one, tl, because the Aztec name, probably, I think it's an Aztec name. So it is actually the most adaptable animal in the world.
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, you can cut like every piece and it just comes back, which is amazing. And yes, that
Right.
would be a really good thing to have.
Yeah.
To be.
But just kind of relating back to adaptive, these guys are like Wall Street veterans, and they completely went to pretty much the opposite of Wall Street, right? Very traditional. So I do love that transition, adaptiveness.
Well, you require vision and you require balls, because these guys left very hefty patient.
It's a big
paychecks on the
decision.
table. It's
Yeah.
a big decision. It's
Yeah.
a life decision, and you know it's something that 10, like they said, right, 10 years from now, people will go back and say, "Hey, you were so smart, you were so right," or you really screwed it up, right? but it's amazing how they are so alike in the how positive they are, how fun they are.
Yeah.
You know, like we have had people on Human and Machine on the channel that one was like full on energy, and the other one was like nothing right there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, just very different personalities. And even though these guys definitely have their own very strong personalities, it really feels like a dream team has come together.
And the fact that they built right there on mainnet, you know, we of course been in crypto for a long time. I can tell you that what they are building on-chain limit, you know, order books, it really is unique, and I've tested it out too. It works. So
Okay.
I really, really hope they can achieve the subnets and what they were talking about. So let them prove themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they will. And you know, my question that to the CEO is like, was this your idea? It's because the way that they did the gaming experiment, because it's an experiment, right? The event or the fight, the battle, right?
Yeah.
It's very much like PhD people think like. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
know, right? Like, so there's a very strong, like, the fact that he's a chemistry, right? He's in chemistry, doctorate in chemistry, right? And everyone else comes from sort of the same backgrounds, but with a very different, you know, angle.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I also like Firestorm. He has a really cool voice, like radio voice. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I was going to
Very
say.
amazing.
Yeah,
I love the way he speaks. Really interesting.
yeah for
Loved
sure.
it. Loved it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to learn about this project, but you know, as always, we do have to wrap up. Thank
Yep.
you know, for
Well,
another great podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. So look, links down in the description as always. You know, what did you like best about this interview?
What did
Yeah,
you
I think
like
it's a
best?
really fun team, and yeah, feel free to try out their app. Right. Best
Yep.
thing to do is get hands on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
everyone.
one, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.